Here we're gonna take a look at how to use Premiere Pro's graphic title to create basic titles. Here we will look at how to use graphic title using primarily the effect controls panel, and we'll look at how to use it with the essential graphics window. To work with the graphics title, you come up to the graphics menu here. Under the new layer, you have all the elements here, and that you will be able to add by default. Notice that this is only selectable when your timeline is selected. So if I have my source monitor selected, then if I go here and then you see I come up to my graphics, this is all grayed out. We want to make sure to select our timeline, and then when you add a new graphical element, it's going to add it to the lowest most available video track. So in this case it will be V2. I'm going to add the new text layer. You can also use the shortcut Control T, and there it is in my effects panel. It opens up in here, effect controls. Here is my new text layer, and for every new text layer we have a source text controls and transform controls. Alright. Things are like just basic word processing parameters as well as just some basic graphic parameters. Transform controls are all of the things that you would expect it in order to move around the frame. Let's just change a few things about our first text layer here. I'm going to just type in here, maybe double click here, or you can actually change the tool and come down here to use the type tool. You can use shortcut Control T, just T, and allows me to type me in the box. Let's just create a very quick and cool placeholder. So a donut dynamite graphic. For this text layer, I'm going to type donut. And we will change it in a bit. So if I select the selection tool, I go here, I want to give a new font. Okay, and I'll just give it a new color, maybe a golden brown, something like this, and I'll give a little bit of kerning here, so that much. You can also add a stroke here. I'll just add a little bit of stroke and make it 3 here, 3-point stroke. I use tilde to take a look at this here. Okay, that seems fine. Maybe I'll just add 4 tilde. Okay, that looks good to go. And if I wanted to add a drop shadow here, I can add a drop shadow as well. Oh, when I select these, you can see I get the additional 2 parameters here. So I'll uncheck that for now. I'll talk a bit about the transform properties. Now both in the effect controls panel as well as the program monitor. Obviously I can change these within this window quite easily. The position, scaling, and rotation. But if I wanted to, I can come over to the program monitor. I could do that as well. So I'll just press tilde to maximize this. So if I wanted to, I can adjust position. It is simple as moving this around. So if I want to scale, I can go to the corner point and drag it up or down. Or I could just go to the corner. When I see this arch, I can easily rotate this. So if you're building an animation and for some reason you want to change your anchor point, that's right here. And let's go back in here. Okay. Tilde. Let's give Control Z, Control Z. Okay. All right. Selection tool and then select this. So here I have my control point, and you can change that and maybe anchor it at the middle side. I'm holding control, so I'm able to see these guidelines here. So in case I want this to be at center, I can hold control and bring it like so. Currently I'm not looking for that. I'll just give undo and let it be where it was before. I'm going to go back to my effect controls panel, and I want to talk about adding more elements. Right now I have selected this graphic, and so any additional elements that I add are gonna be within this graphic. I'm going to show you that what happens if I don't have this graphic selected. Let's say click elsewhere, and we just have the timeline selected at large, and then come up to the graphics panel, new layer, text. Just come up with another text layer above here in the V3 timeline. So it added a brand new graphic in my timeline. Certainly, sometimes this could be desirable to have two separate elements working in different ways. Perhaps I want to add animate and layer to this way, and this layer to animate the another way. So this might be a good strategy. For us though, I would like to create my entire title within one graphic. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, select this. Now instead of choosing this graphic, you can go up into the graphics, new layer, text. So you can see it came up here within this same graphic. It is going to copy the characteristics just to set, so I don't have to go and find the exact same yellow or font or anything else. It all copies all of the characteristics over, which is nice. So I'm going to press T to access type tool. We can click there and just double click here, and I'm going to type dynamite. Go over to the selection tool. Here you can see in the effect controls panel, now I have two text layers, text donuts and text dynamite. And I'm going to go back to my selection tool, and I'll just change the position and scale this dynamite a little bit back to match the length of this guy donut here. Holding control helps you align properly. Having a smart guide helps quite a bit here. So let's add a couple more graphic elements. I'm going to sort of simulate a donut. So two circles surrounding these two words. Again, I want to make sure that the graphics layer is selected. And because I want to add these elements to the existing same graphic, so I'll come up to the graphics, new layer. Here I'm going to choose ellipse. So I'm going to come in and take off the fill layer here and choose a stroke, and maybe I'll just bump up that a bit. This much is fine. I'll just set the length and the width according to my text, and maybe I just set the center point to be at properly here. Okay, now what I can do is I can copy and paste this elements within the effect controls. I'm going to use Control C, Control V, and there I have my another shape. I can go within here and maybe scale this up a bit, and that's going to scale that up right like so. And maybe I just want to bring down the stroke a little bit. It's way too much when compared to the other one. So 2 point, and let's go back to here. I'll just bring this down as well. So they're on top of one another right now, and so simple. Just make this graphic. So I want to show you something about all of these layers being in one graphic, because they're all together. They will all be affected by the same effects. For example, so if I go up here, I want to change the scaling. I can affect the scaling of the entire graphic along with the strokes, circles, the text, and whatever that's within here. So all these 4 elements can be edited at once. I can just climb on to my built-in motion effects and scale this down. So you can see it is all done uniformly. So let's move this over the image. Maybe I'll put it in the left corner right like so. Vector motion, and maybe I'll just put it right like so. So not only that, you can also use keyframes, everything at once as well. Say I want this to move in and then move out. So what I'm gonna do is set a position keyframe at the beginning, and we will move this off screen. And move forward and move this within here. So at this point we have to come in. Already begun keyframing, so I don't have to set another keyframe. All I need is to just move on, and then I'll go forward. So go forward and click here, and that is going to add another keyframe. This is a hold keyframe. Basically holds the values for the previous one. I think this point we want to go it off, so I'll just go it off at the next point. Let's play that. Alright, it also matches the beat. So this could adjust my exposure here and play that. So it's very easy to add different elements within the same graphic and then affect them all at once. Now, one last thing to note about this: unlike the most types of other assets in Premiere Pro, graphic objects do not have master clips associated with them by default. Right now, it only exists in this sequence. If I go over the project panel, you see that I don't have my new source material created. If I know I want to use this again some way, maybe as a starting place to modify a different title, I can turn this into a master graphic. I just need to make sure that it is selected and come up to my graphics and then upgrade to master graphic. We go here, right click, get upgrade to a source graphic, and here I have that as well. So I can move this to my project panel right like so, and here it's directly tied to this graphic. So if I edit it or delete it, you can see select it and delete. I go back here. So changes are made to this graphic as well. I'm gonna undo that, so be careful of that link. Definitely feel free to duplicate your graphics so that you can use them without fear of that happening. It's just a matter of doing duplicate. You can just select this, delete, and right click here, duplicate to bring that right here. And maybe you want to adjust this guy shape, delete. And then check this guy has 2 rings already, so you can go ahead and make a variation out of the previous graphic, right, like so. So without making any alteration to the original copy, it can be done. So it's just a little graphic title or introduction using the effects control panel. As you can see, we can do quite a bit with this, and we'll take a look at even more where how to use the effect essential graphic window. Now we have worked exclusively in the effect controls panel to make all of our edits. There is also a tool panel called Essential Graphic Window, and it offers a bit more in terms of options and capability. So let's take a look. All right, so I have a go here, maybe Essential Graphics comes over here. So I have my free lower thirds. Just go and load a sequence here. All right. So I have created a title using graphics titler. Just a lower third, which means that it identifies someone talking on screen. I'll play it as for you, and you can see the title play out.
Don't let that excitement. It's like, oh my god, this is so good. Nobody says that about a salad.
Okay, so I'm going to select it and come up to the effect controls. Here, let's get the sense of exactly what's going on here. So I have shape layer and this 2 text layers. You can see that here is a shape, just a simple translucent yellow rectangle, and then I have my first text element and second text element, and then I have a set few keyframes here so that I can come in from the left. So it's very simple. I just want to show you how this title I created using effect control panel shows up in the effect graphic windows, essential graphic windows. Let me just show you how to open the essential graphics window. Now I'm just come up to the window, and then I'm going to come over this edit tab. So here's my first layer, second layer, text layer, and then my shape. These things are all laid out differently in the essential graphics window. In the effect controls panel, if I scroll down, my first text element, for example, I know I have all of my sort of word processing parameters at the top. Then I have these design parameters in the middle and transform properties at the bottom. And if I wanted to go into each element, each of my layers, I would just scroll it down, and then I would get a new set of parameters. in the essential graphics window. It's a sort of an coding structure. So as I select each of these layers, all these parameters laid out here. So if I select my Madame Donut layer, you can see at the top I have a position of align transform parameters here and my design parameters. So things are laid out a bit differently. Certainly I can edit any of these characteristics in the essential graphics window. Likewise, it is edited in the effect controls panel. So if I wanted to change my shape to some other color, then you can see the effect control panel. And it can be changed as well. I'll just go ahead and do that. So it's a little bit of orientation between these two spaces. Main thing I want to talk about is the essential graphics window is the browse tab. It's within this browse tab you can find all sorts of different templates, both from within the Premiere Pro as well as Adobe stock. So you can see within Adobe stocks you have both free and premium varieties. So depending on what you need, there are some pretty complex design available. I'm going to just take over under my template. It's my Premiere Pro library, and if you'd like to browse this, you can hover over this and you see animation play out. So everything is totally editable. I encourage you to check out all of these various templates. It's going to make a lower third, so this text fill can be helpful. Just find a lower. So yes, here. Not too fancy, just this guy would work. I can sort of peruse through these various options here, and the one I'm interested in is classic lower third 2 lines. So I hover over here and you sort of see that similar field, and it's simple one. It has few more shapes, a little bit of pizzas here. Alright, so I'll just go ahead and play that. I'm going to go and just disable the V3 and put this over here. And it's as simple as dragging and dropping wherever I like. I'll just trim this a bit. Go back here. Just go ahead and customize the new lower third title. Now within the essential graphics window, you can see that we have shape, and the structure is of course mirrored in the effect controls panel. So let's just make simple edits here. Just go in here, maybe change this to here, this guy, and just make it red. This guy red as well. You just go red, red. Okay. So also I'm going to insert the name here. So double click here and I'm going to type Madame Donut. I don't want to change much about this, but I would do like to change the size. Just bring that up a bit. Alright, so I'll just select this guy and maybe scale it up a bit. So I got a little bit of a gap for changing the size as well. So I'll just choose the Madame Donut again and maybe bring up the size a bit. Also, this could be stretched. So that's that. And add a title here. I would like to add Donut Dynamite. And also scale this up a bit, maybe 45. And baseline shift to down, and maybe I'll just add 50 here and give a gap a bit. Alright, that seems fine. Okay. So, alright, not too bad. Now, if I wanted to continue editing this, I have several options. I can edit with the Essential Graphics window, and I can come over to the Effect Controls panel and edit it there. Notice all of these keyframes in here of my various shapes and size here. I'll lay it out here. Let's press tilde and you're able to see that. So if I wanted to change the timing of anything, I could just climb in and do that. I'm not going to do that right now though, but it is available to you. So just press tilde again to minimize. And one thing I do want to show is if you want to use this graphic again, that certainly you have an option promoting this to a master graphic or a source graphic. So I do this in the same way I showed you by just going into the graphics menu, select this, my graphics menu, upgrade to the source graphic. It'll say yes, and it'll appear in here. It's telling me I have some unresponsive elements and intro outro duration, they will be removed. So say yes, then you have this guy here. Remember, this is a completely linked to what we have in the timeline. So if I want to use this again, I'm gonna need to duplicate it. So here I'm gonna make this Madame Donut. Right click and duplicate. And I'm gonna say Monsieur Donut. And now they're separate. So I can come in here and turn off my V1 so I'm not too distracted. So come in here and edit this as I need to. Use my type tool and change that. Maybe I'll just drag and draw here. Alright, so here I'm going to type Monsieur Donut. So that was just a little bit on using templates in the Essentials graphic window. Do feel free to explore this as much as you like, because using templates can often give you a great head start on creating something nice, sharp looking titles.